It's Tuesday, September 4th, 2018, and it's time for the Week 12 CFL report. That's right. Had to wait until Tuesday because they played games on Labor Day. It's like, and they didn't play a game on Saturday. They played a game on Sunday, played a game on Friday, played 2 games on Labor Day. Big deal. And I went 3-1 this week. I started off terrible. I took Ottawa to beat Montreal. I thought Ottawa would have an easy time of this. Nope. Montreal defense completely stymied Ottawa. Stymied Harris, stymied Powell. Powell had been rushing really good lately. He'd been rushing really good lately, and then all of a sudden, 9 carries for 50 yards. I mean, 50 yards isn't bad, but, a 5.6 carry, 50 yards is not that great, but 5.6 per carry. Harris didn't do bad. I mean, he was 25 of 46, 270 yards, but he threw a pick. And Montreal's defense held Ottawa without a major. No touchdown. None. No touchdown. Field goals, singles, all this stuff. No majors. There was one play towards the end of the game, but it was 21-11. I don't know really what they would have done, other than try to get the ball back really quick. But Harris missed a wide open guy in the back of that end zone. I mean, he really did. He threw to a guy that he threw over to his left where that guy was pretty well covered. If he had thrown it almost down the center, I think he would have hit him pretty easy. I don't know if Harris just basically had tunnel vision at this point, but I think if he would have hit his guy in the middle, he might have gotten a touchdown. But even then, with the, even if you get the 2 points, you're talking 21-19. You make it look closer. So, who knows what can happen when you go to do whatever you're going to do to try to get the ball back real quick. You don't know how the ball's going to bounce. But Montreal's defense, who'd been looking pretty bad lately, is starting to improve. And they played really good in Ottawa. Remember, this wasn't in Montreal. This was in Ottawa. So Montreal played very well. Their defense did especially. Pipkin. I'm not convinced on 18 of 27 for 242 yards and 2 interceptions. He did run the ball 9 times for 75 yards. But you can now say there's a full-blown quarterback controversy in Montreal. He's won 2 games. Manziel is still on the bench. Manziel hasn't looked great yet in the 2 games he's played, but this is just one. At some point, maybe right now they're giving Sherman free rein to kind of do what he wants, but at some point, management is going to say, we gave up 2 first-round picks and 2 players for Manziel. Now, the 2 players, not so consequential, because Williams and Westwood, I think was his name, or Western, or hasn't done much. But Westerman or something like that, the defensive lineman. They haven't done much. I mean, every time I see the defensive lineman stats, and I think it's Westerman, he's not putting up any numbers other than like 1 tackle. I mean, every time I see his stats, 1 tackle. I mean, let's look in his last game. What did he do? Westerman, 1 tackle. Every time I see the guy, 1 tackle, no sacks, no forced fumbles, no interceptions. Well, okay, there was a throwaway player, it looks like. I thought he was supposed to be pretty decent. I thought he was supposed to be able to help the defense. Maybe he helps the defense another way by occupying blockers. I don't know. I don't get to watch the games as closely as I'd like to. But Montreal, I know, Montreal got 2 offensive linemen in the deal, but still, you give away 2 first-round picks for a guy, you can't keep him on the bench. At some point, you got to do something with him. And you can't send him to Edmonton because that's where Riley is. You can't send him to Calgary with Bo Levi Mitchell. You can't send him to, you can't really send him to, I mean, if you look at Saskatchewan has Caleros, Hamilton has, Masoli. Right now, maybe Toronto because Bethel Thompson is not, look, that was some technical difficulties as the thing fell. I have a very, very bad, it's like I have an iPad that holds up another iPad. That's basically how this goes. And right now it's very shaky because I can't get the other iPad to hold it up. So I'm going to have to change how I do this. Yeah, because I bumped the stupid desk. So I just went, it was an earthquake. Wasn't my fault. Act of nature. That's right. There's like a twitch in my foot or something. It's like, and then you get to see the popcorn ceiling. I hope it's clean. It looks clean. So you got to see a clean ceiling. That's good. So at some point, management's going to step in. I just think that that's going to have to happen. I don't know what you do with Pipkin. To me, I'm not super impressed with Pipkin, but he seems to be a steadying force. He made a bad throw at the end of the first half, throwing into double coverage in the center of the field. Young quarterbacks will do that. They'll force things. But you got Manziel. And maybe this gives Manziel a chance to learn a little bit more. But I think Manziel's going to learn a lot more from playing. But now Montreal's starting to roll a little bit. And, you know, they're in the playoff hunt in the East. They really are. I mean, they're, you know, if you look at it, I think they're only 6 points back. They're not so far away from... And if they can win within their own division, beating the division leader Ottawa is a step in the right direction. They might be able to climb back into this thing. There's still a lot of time left to go. Now, not so much for Montreal because they've already played 11 games. But there's still plenty of time left, especially if they're going to start picking off guys in their own division. They might be able to get back up there, and if Pipkin is the guy that can do it, I don't know. To me, I say, you know, you got to get Manziel in there, but, you know, if Pipkin's winning, it's hard to argue against it. But if the defense is going to continue to play really well, maybe you can get Manziel back in there. But if it's me and I'm a GM, I want Manziel in there because that's the guy I gave up 2 first-round picks for. That's the guy I want in there. If I'm the coach, I want Pipkin because he's the guy that's playing really well right now, where he's playing good enough to lead the team, and they seem to believe in him enough that they keep fighting. So, I don't know. To me, Pipkin and Manziel they're not going at each other, which is good. They seem to both just be getting along, and everybody's saying the right things. But it's tough. It's tough. Then we'll go into some of these other games probably a little bit quicker. But for me, the GM in me says put Manziel in there. The coach in me wants to win, and I owe it to my players to win. And if Pipkin's going to continue to win, you know, you got to keep Pipkin in. So that's where that's why you get quarterback controversies. There's a saying, and it's if you have 2 quarterbacks, if you have 3 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. If you look at the greatest quarterbacks of all time, there are no quarterback controversies until the end of their careers. It is very rare when you get a situation like a Joe Montana and a Steve Young, where you actually have 2 Hall of Famers on the roster at the same time. Most times you don't see. Look at Brett Favre. Look at John Elway. Look at, you know, John Elway. He had a quarterback controversy because it didn't seem like Dan Reeves wanted him, and Dan Reeves wanted Tommy Maddox for some reason. But Dan Marino, there was never a quarterback controversy. If you got 2 guys competing for a starting job and you don't have a clear-cut winner, you really don't have a quarterback yet. But that's not to say that either one of these guys can't maybe be your quarterback of the future. It's just right now, it's tough when a team doesn't always know who's going to be there from week to week, and it makes it very tough to sometimes adjust. So until one of these guys takes a clear-cut lead, and maybe Pipkin's starting to do that, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and I think it's going to be tough on Manziel. It's going to be tough on the coaching staff. It's going to be tough on the front office. It's going to be, as long as they keep winning, it won't be tough on the fans. The fans will love just the winning. The team will love to win. So, you know, whoever's putting up the wins usually is the guy that stays in the game. And if Pipkin's going to keep winning, he's going to play. So next we're going to move to Winnipeg and Saskatchewan. I got this game right. I said Saskatchewan will win it. I was iffy on it, but I still picked Saskatchewan. Caleros, since he came back, is playing really good. I like the way Caleros is playing. I like the way he was playing before he went out. He was, 18 of 30, 250 yards, touchdown, interception, played well. It's not like they really had much of a running game. But Saskatchewan's playing pretty good ball right now.
And they're the team that for some reason they give me the most trouble when I pick them. If I pick them to win, they lose. If I pick them to lose, they win. This is one of the few times I picked them to win and they won. I mean, I went 3-1 this week, and Saskatchewan was one of them I got right. So I'm at actually 19-11 for my picks this year. It's like, that's still not that good. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that are picking their teams, and it's like they're, it's like if they're got 30 games, they were probably 27-3. And I'm 19-11. I'd be probably scraping the bottom of the barrel. But remember, I'm still new to the CFL, so it's hard for me to gauge some of these teams. Edmonton, Calgary. Edmonton really needs to start winning some games. They're starting to slip a little bit. And they got one of the best quarterbacks in Riley. But this was in Calgary, and Calgary's a beast. They're just a beast. And the more and more I see Bo Levi Mitchell, the more I like this guy. He just plays through everything. He missed a series on a non-contact knee injury, and they lost some wide receivers too. They were losing guys left and right. And Bo Levi Mitchell basically said, "You're not going to keep me out. I'm getting in there. I'm jumping in that game, and I'm going to finish it." Drove him down at the end of the game and got him in for the winning field goal. So to me, Calgary 9-1, Edmonton 6-5. That division's starting to become a little bit of a laugher because second place is 6 points out. And you're talking Edmonton and Saskatchewan are both 6 points out at this right now at this juncture. Edmonton's played one more game than Calgary and has 4 more losses than Calgary. Edmonton has a really good quarterback and they have some pretty good players, but well, I'll tell you, it starts to get away from you when you're that many points out of first place. You're talking 18 points to 12 points. That's a long way to the top. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll, and Edmonton's got a long way to the top, baby. But Calgary did pull off the victory. I did pick them to win. I thought that would be a close game, and it was. I thought it would be a little more high scoring, but it was a good close game. Then Toronto at Hamilton. This was another tough game. It's like I was taking all the home teams. I took Hamilton, but Toronto's been playing decent. McLeod Bethel-Thompson's been playing pretty good, but McLeod Bethel-Thompson didn't look very good in this game. He was 14-29, 160 some odd yards, 163 yards and an interception. He really didn't play all that well. They had Franklin in there for a play, 1 for 1 for 3 yards. Okay, but he got a touchdown pass. McLeod Bethel-Thompson didn't get a touchdown pass, and he threw the ball 28 more times. Wilder rushed the ball. This tells you where Toronto's offense was. Wilder, 11 carries, 47 yards, 4.3 yards average. He was also their leading receiver with 3 catches for 42 yards. Both of his combined came up to 89 yards. He didn't even have 100 yards of total offense. It's just not a good offensive day. Hamilton really put it to him. And Hamilton didn't even get a sack. They didn't get a sack at all and still put it to him. Masoli, 26-35 for 385 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. But Alex Green, 18 carries, 115 yards. I'm telling you, Hamilton looked good in the beginning of the year. Hamilton had that dead spot in the middle, but Hamilton looks like they're getting strong at the right time. They're getting strong again. They're playing really, really good football again. Hamilton's going to be one of those teams you have got to keep an eye on them because they are now only 2 points back in the east of Ottawa. So Hamilton is starting to sneak back into this again. Masoli is a really good quarterback. And if Alex Green can continue to run the ball really well, that Hamilton team can cause a lot of troubles. And Ottawa's an up and down team. Sometimes they look really good, and sometimes they look like the team that's lost so many games or lost 5 games, but or 4 games, excuse me. But right now we still got a long way to go. Some of these teams still have 8 games left. Some of these teams have 7 games. Some of them are. But I got 3 out of the 4 games right. I'm happy with that. I have the hardest time with the first game of the week. I mean, this week we're talking Ottawa at BC, and I'm going to lean towards BC. And I know that Ottawa's probably going to really want this victory, but so is BC. And BC had the week off to prepare for Ottawa. Maybe they looked at what Montreal did. So that I'll do on Friday. That'll be my predictions, because they have one game on Friday, which is Ottawa at BC, and then they're going to have 3 games on Saturday, which will be Hamilton at Toronto, Saskatchewan at Winnipeg, Calgary at Edmonton. Montreal is going to get a week off. So we'll get a week to stew on the quarterback controversy between Pipkin and Manziel that I think will start to brew a little bit. I'd be curious to be in Montreal right now and see what's really going, what they're really saying, because it's like the stuff that I have access to isn't really saying much, and I'm just wondering if everybody's keeping kind of hush hush right now. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I know I started out the week rough with an 0-1, but I did pick it up, got my last 3 picks right, and everything's tightening up. Nobody looks like a lame duck team. I mean, BC, Toronto, and Montreal all have 3 victories. So that's pretty good. And those are the worst teams. Of course, the best team is way out front, but everybody else is right there. You got 3 to 6 wins for everybody else, and that's close. Calgary's kind of running away and hiding from everybody, but the rest of this is still close, and it's still anybody's game. So it's going to get more and more exciting as we get towards the end of the season. So like I said, NFL season, I'm still going to cover the CFL because it's just exciting stuff. So I'm going to cover NFL, CFL. I'm just going to be a football nut. Once the NFL's over, I'm going to cover the AAF. And then in a year and a half, I'll cover the XFL. I don't care. I'm covering it all. I might even cover some college football, too. Football! With all that being said, to the troops, past, present, and future, thanks for the freedom.